did. It was so fun. Oh my god, as a huge Disney fan, it was so exciting to finally get to go to D23.
Rice has to be body temperature, and if it takes too long to serve it, it's no longer body temperature.
The entertainment industry is witnessing one of its most explosive controversies, and at the center of it all is Disney's Snow White remake. What started as another live-action adaptation has spiraled into a full-blown crisis that is sending shockwaves through Hollywood. The stakes couldn't be higher for Disney, and no one could have predicted how a beloved fairy tale would become the flashpoint for a cultural war that's dividing audiences worldwide. The drama ignited when Rachel Zegler, cast as the iconic Snow White, began giving interviews about her role in the upcoming film. What should have been standard promotional appearances quickly turned into viral moments that left Disney executives scrambling for damage control. In one particularly controversial interview, Zegler dropped a bombshell that sent fans into a frenzy. "It's really not about the love story at all," she revealed, before adding that the prince's scenes might not even make it to the final cut. "All of Andrew's scenes could get cut, who knows? It's Hollywood, baby," she said with a casual dismissiveness that would come back to haunt both her and Disney, but this was just the tip of the iceberg. As more interviews surfaced, a pattern began to emerge that worried longtime Disney fans. Zegler's approach to the role seemed to clash fundamentally with the beloved character she was chosen to portray in various media appearances. She appeared to distance herself from the original story.
Friend, and she was the one who sent me the casting notice and said, "Thank you when you're famous." It's the craziest thing ever that it came through in that weird way, and that's why I bring her everywhere. She's the best ever. But yeah, I put myself on tape. It's the worst tape you've ever seen in your life. I have no idea how I got the part still. And it's being used to teach future casting directors at NYU.
Often suggesting that the classic tale needed complete reimagining for modern audiences. These statements might have been manageable on their own, but when combined with leaked details about the film's dramatic changes to the source material, they created a perfect storm of controversy. The situation took an unexpected turn when South Park decided to wade into the debate. The satirical show, known for its sharp commentary on cultural issues, didn't just dip its toes into the controversy, it dove in head first with an episode titled Into the Pan. The episode's approach was brilliant in its simplicity. It took South Park's familiar characters and reimagined them in ways that perfectly mimicked Disney's recent casting decisions. The result was a savage takedown that left no doubt about the creator's stance on Hollywood's current approach to reimagining classics. Behind the scenes, Disney executives were reportedly in panic mode. Sources close to the company revealed that emergency meetings were being held to address the mounting criticism that the South Park episode had struck a nerve not just with audiences but within the industry itself. What made the situation particularly challenging for Disney was how the show managed to articulate frustrations that many fans had been feeling but struggling to express. The controversy deepened when attention turned to the actual changes being made to the Snow White story. The seven dwarfs integral to the original tale were being completely reimagined. The prince, a key figure in the classic narrative, was potentially being written out entirely.
The board was making a decision to make a change at the CEO level at Disney, and that they might ask me to step back.
And you say to her?
And I said to Willow, "I'm getting this call. It's possible that I could get asked back."
Even the core romance, which had inspired generations of audiences, was being fundamentally altered. These weren't minor tweaks to modernize the story, they represented a complete overhaul of everything that made Snow White recognizable. Industry insiders began speaking out, many under condition of anonymity, about the broader implications of Disney's approach. One veteran producer noted, "When you're dealing with beloved properties like Snow White, there's a fine line between updating for modern audiences and completely disregarding what made the original special." This sentiment was echoed throughout Hollywood, with many questioning whether Disney had finally gone too far in their attempt to reimagine their classics. The backlash intensified when social media users began compiling clips of Zegler's various interviews about the role. What emerged was a portrait of an actress who seemed, in the eyes of many fans, dismissive of the very property she was chosen to represent. In one particularly controversial moment, Zegler appeared to suggest that the original Snow White story wasn't worth preserving in its traditional form. This struck many as particularly tone-deaf, especially coming from someone chosen to embody such an iconic character. The contrast between Zegler's approach and how previous Disney princess actresses had handled their roles couldn't have been more stark.
like Jacqueline, if they play Getaway Car or Maroon, she's on Crisis Watch. Not only did she play Getaway Car, she also played Maroon. I was having a mental breakdown in the audience at MetLife Stadium.
While stars like Emma Watson and Lily James had managed to discuss modernizing their characters while still showing reverence for the source material, Zegler's comments seemed to dismiss the original story's value entirely. This difference in approach didn't go unnoticed by fans, who began sharing comparison videos that highlighted the disparity. South Park's creators, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, didn't stop with just one episode. Their critique expanded into a broader commentary on Hollywood's current approach to representation and storytelling. The show's writers demonstrated remarkable insight into why Disney's recent decisions were causing such controversy rather than simply mocking the surface-level aspects of the situation. They delved into the deeper implications of how these changes affected storytelling and audience connection. The episode Into the Pan became an instant classic not just for its humor but for its ability to articulate complex criticisms in an accessible way by transforming familiar South Park characters into gender-swapped, race-swapped versions of themselves. The show managed to highlight the absurdity of certain Hollywood practices while making a deeper point about authentic representation versus tokenism. The impact of South Park's criticism reverberated through Hollywood in ways that few could have anticipated. Reports began surfacing that Disney executives were attempting to reach out to Comedy Central.
Not designed right now to necessarily develop great movies or to encourage more people to seek public office. It just is far more difficult. I've never been in it. From what I observed, it's far more difficult to run for office today than ever.
Hoping to prevent further episodes that might damage their brand, these behind-the-scenes maneuvers only added fuel to the fire, with social media exploding in debates about corporate influence and artistic freedom. One industry insider revealed Disney's never been more vulnerable to criticism, and South Park knew exactly where to hit them. The controversy took an even more dramatic turn when leaked production details began circulating online. The changes to Snow White weren't just surface level, they represented a fundamental reimagining of the story that left many questioning whether it could still be called Snow White at all. Traditional elements that had defined the tale for generations were being stripped away and replaced with what critics called modern messaging that seemed disconnected from the original's heart and soul. Rachel Zegler's continued media appearances only intensified the situation. In what many viewed as a surprising move, she doubled down on her previous statements about the classic story being outdated. "We're not doing the fairy tale that everyone thinks they know," she stated in one interview. "This is something completely different." While some praised her honesty, others saw it as further evidence of a disconnect between Hollywood and its audience. Social media lit up with comparisons to other actresses who had taken on iconic roles, highlighting how differently they had approached their responsibilities to beloved characters. Clip 6. The situation became even more complex when industry analysts began examining the broader implications for Disney's future. The Snow White controversy wasn't happening in isolation, it was part of a larger pattern that had been developing across multiple Disney projects. One entertainment journalist noted that what we're seeing with Snow White is just the tip of the iceberg. It's forcing everyone to question Disney's entire approach to their classic properties behind the scenes. Sources revealed that Disney was conducting emergency focus groups to gauge audience reaction to the changes. The results were reportedly concerning enough to prompt high-level meetings about the future of their live-action remake strategy. One anonymous executive admitted there's a growing realization that we might have misread what audiences actually want from these reimaginings. The controversy took another turn when details emerged about the production's approach to the Seven Dwarfs. Instead of the beloved characters from the original, the film would feature what they called magical creatures from various backgrounds. This change sparked heated debates about representation and authenticity in storytelling. While some defended it as a progressive move, others saw it as an unnecessary alteration that stripped away another layer of the story's identity. South Park's critique didn't just focus on Snow White, it expanded into a broader commentary on Hollywood's current approach to updating classics through their signature satirical lens. They highlighted how these changes often seemed more focused on checking boxes than telling compelling stories. the episode became a rallying point for those who felt Hollywood had lost its way in attempting to modernize beloved tales. The controversy began affecting other Disney projects, as well as reports surfaced that other films in development were being re-evaluated in light of the Snow White backlash. Clip 7. This story is far from reaching its happily ever after. Make sure to hit subscribe and turn on notifications to stay updated on all the latest developments in this ongoing Hollywood drama. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear what you think about this whole situation. Are these changes to Snow White going too far, or is this the fresh take the story needs? Let us know.